Hi, I'm Dana, and today I want to talk about things that are cringy. I want to talk about cringe because I started this video and I had to restart it, and I've said the word cringe so many times that I'm not entirely sure I'm saying it right anymore. So if I'm saying a different word, just pretend I'm not, okay? So I wanted to talk about it today because I'm someone that was always considered very cringy, and I'm not entirely sure I am anymore because I've been to I've been to a few places. I went to one party and one Pride event and had like 3 people flirt with me, and I'm like, wait, am I hot? I'm not. I'm just gay, and they could tell, I think. But I'm someone that's always been considered cringy. I was quite often told in primary school and high school and college that I'm annoying and cringy and people don't like me. But speaking specifically about cringe, it's one of those things that has always sort of worried me. I feel like I'm almost hyper aware of like cringy moments because I'm, unintentionally cringy so often apparently, especially in high school when I was around more people and more unmasked. I was more myself without, that got bullied out of me, but I was a little bit more myself. I understood myself, like, not myself as a person, but myself as like an autist, I suppose, without knowing I was autistic. I sort of just had more acceptance of my traits and more traits that I wasn't aware of, so I didn't know to mask them, is what I'm trying to say, I think. I just didn't know to mask my autism as heavily. I hadn't learned how to mask it all yet, so I was a bit more authentically autistic. And that was seen as cringe, which is why I learned to mask it, which is why it's so hard to now unmask all of these autistic things about myself. Because in my mind in high school, cringe was the worst thing you could be. And to some degree, honestly, now, I'm still kind of scared of being cringe. And I've been counteracting that with my TikTok. I've mentioned it in a couple of videos. Follow me there, I guess. If you haven't, I barely post. But I've done a fair few little songs, little TikTok songs. I'll put them here. Here you go.
People are rude when I say I'm vegan, but they don't know how it began. Every time that I had dairy, I literally thought I was going to shit myself.
It's another social cue, and now I don't know what to do. This is something that I am prone to. Miss another social cue, cause I won't make eye contact with you. That is not something that I do. It's the autism. Maybe you enjoyed them, maybe you found them a bit cringe. I've asked people for like very honest, specific opinions, and a lot of people have been like, oh, well, it is a little bit cringe. But they don't know that I'm intentionally trying to make it be a little bit cringe. Like, I feel like as a sort of awkward, cringy person, sometimes you've got to lean into what you can do. Like the James Acasters of the world, we got to do what we can. And I find it funny. I think my songs are funny. I don't know if anyone else does. I don't know why my TV just turned on. I really don't know if anyone else finds this shit funny, but I find myself really funny. And I know that it's cringy. I know these videos are cringy and awkward and a bit weird, and the songs are like not great, and that's on purpose. I have demos of actual songs on my laptop that you're never going to hear because they're demos and they sound like my TikTok songs. And if you ever do get to hear them, it'll be when they've gone through a process and sound like good songs. I know my TikTok songs aren't good. They're not meant to be. It's this sort of, I hate to say it, but I'm sort of being intentionally ironically cringy over there, I guess. I hate using the term ironic, both because of the Alanis Morissette song and that point in like 2010, if anyone else is with me, when everything was ironic and it wasn't actually ironic, but it was all ironic. It was a weird time to be alive, and it made me hate the term irony. But it sort of is, I guess, in its own little way, a little bit ironic. But it's sort of just giving myself a place to be free of the worry of being cringe, because like it's hard to be cringe in a video like this. I need to plug my laptop in now, sorry, one minute. It's sort of difficult for me to be cringy in this type of content, because I think maybe you're sat there thinking you're always cringy, Dana, shut the fuck up. But I think for the most part, this type of content isn't cringy because I'm not someone who gets overly emotional. I'm not someone who has like particularly large or dramatic reactions. And that's what I'd need to be doing to make this type of content cringy. But other types of content, I can be incredibly awkward, you know? Like, it's taken me some time to be this comfortable and this hopefully unawkward and friendly and presentable. I don't know. I have no fucking idea how I come across in these videos, but I don't think I come across as particularly awkward or cringe, hopefully. But when I first started TikTok, I wanted to make TikTok content, you know? And when I started my Instagram reels, like, so the main reason I don't make fashion content anymore is because I just found myself incredibly cringy trying to like pose and model these outfits. I cringed at, so like I cringe at a lot of my fashion videos. I cringed while I was editing them, and they're videos that I was proud of, and you know, I wouldn't have posted them otherwise, but I found them cringy, you know. And you're never going to see them because they are long deleted, but I tried to do thirst trap TikToks and it was the cringiest, most awkward shit you've ever seen. And it's one of those things where, like, if I'd, you know, not that I think 14-year-olds should be making thirst traps, but if we'd had TikTok and the like when I was 14 and I'd tried making content, I think I'd have just been posting it and not realised it was cringe. Because I posted YouTube videos when I was in high school, and I was proud of them. I was proud of my YouTube videos. You know, I knew they were weird. I knew that. But they were also, you know, just little teenage me being creative and having fun and making something. And I did not know they were cringe and stupid and whatever else people said when I got to school, until I got to school and people were like, that's so cringe. Why did you do that? What is wrong with you? You know, that's something I've had to really learn to pick up on from myself. I cringe a lot. That was so high pitched, I'm sorry. Like, is someone's dog barking? But I cringe a lot over people, and I always have. Like, even during times where, like, there's been times where I've cringed at someone and turned to other people and be like, oh, that was a bit, and they're like, what was? Like, they literally haven't even noticed what I'm, like, fully, like, full body cringing at. So I think I might have trained myself to, like, over pick up on things that could be cringy but actually aren't. Like, I've become so incredibly hyper aware of anything that could be cringy, and it makes it very difficult to accurately judge if myself if I'm being cringy. However, cringe culture on the whole, obviously it's negative. Cringe culture is essentially bullying someone and telling them, like, you're awkward and stupid and annoying and blah 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 blah. You know, these are the terms that come with cringe. And I think that quite often the people that are posting these things that people are finding cringe and really dogpiling on to tell them you're cringe and bully them, they usually are, from my experience and from what I've seen, neurodivergent people. And it's one of those where it's like, is it actually cringe or are you ableist? Is it actually cringe or are you just being mean? And as I say, I cringe a lot, so I'm also absolutely guilty of it. I think there's lots of topics that I talk about that people comment thinking that I've like gotten over it and I've fully sorted it and I'm like the expert on it, and I never am. I assure you I'm not the expert on anything. Everything that I talk about is stuff that I'm like going through and thinking about and struggling with and whatever else. So it's not that I'm this like morally golden person that's never cringed or made someone feel bad for being cringy. I absolutely have, and I probably will go on to do it again at some point because my foresight and my judgment isn't always perfect as a human being. However, you know, from what I've seen, all too often, things like stimming are considered cringe, having very intense special interests. Like, especially, God help you, if your special interest is something that's already considered cringe. Like, there was one person that I knew in high school, and the only thing we had in common that we were both queer, we were both on the LGBT spectrum, and honestly, probably both on the autism spectrum too. But they were obsessed with this one specific anime that I don't remember. And people, like, it was one of the ones that was considered a little cringe to like, that's for children, it's a baby show, you're so cringy, it's so cringy to like that show. And then it's the double cringe of, oh, you like that show too much, which is never a thing, it's total bullshit. Enjoy your hyperfixations, enjoy your special interests, who gives a fuck? But, you know, people do give a fuck, unfortunately, society does give a fuck. And it sucks that, you know, something that's so pure to like being autistic, in my opinion, I think special interests are like the high point of being autistic for me. Like, that's the one good thing to come out of it a lot of the time, is that I have these interests that bring me so much joy and that like make me happy just to think about talking about them. You know, like, that's the best part of autism. And I've been called cringe for liking things too much. I went to my first Comic-Con in 2013 and everyone in my school thought that was really bizarre and weird and cringy. But, you know, it's this thing of like, is it actually cringe? Is it actually like cringy and embarrassing and whatever else? Or is it autism? Is it just a neurodiversity? Are you literally just being ableist to someone over something that they can't or shouldn't have to control? Because, like, sure, I could rein in my special interests. I could talk about Doctor Who and Ashes to Ashes and Taika Waititi a whole lot less. But why should I? Just because it's cringe? Like, why should I take away happiness from myself because other people might think it's a bit cringy? You know, I could do something about it, but why should I have to? And that goes double for stimming and the many other autistic traits I'm sure have called cringe at some point. But I don't want to be the person that lists a load of things as cringe for you to go, oh, I didn't know that was cringe and now I feel cringe. We don't need it, you know? You know, and then like I mentioned, James Acaster to perform. We've got like John Richardson and a bunch of other people that I can't think off the top of my head because I'm not good at thinking like that. But we've got these like comedians, and there's probably musicians and other people I'm not aware of, but centering on the comedians I am aware of, there's these people that have sort of made it almost cool to be cringy. Maybe not so much John Richardson, but James Acaster for sure has like made it kind of cool and funny to be cringe. And sometimes, I won't lie to you, some of you are very, very nice and comment on my videos, which I love. You should always do that. But some of you have called me funny in the past. I even had one comment that definitely gave me too much of an ego for like a week, that said I should be a comedian. And sometimes I have a little niggling thought of, was I trying to be funny? Like, did you laugh at my joke? Or was I being cringe and not realising it, and that's what you found funny? Because, like, there is cringy humour. I've laughed at people for being cringe without it necessarily, like, being in a mean way. I'm not laughing at them for being cringe. They've done something cringe and it's funny and we've all laughed. You know, all of us, including the person, hopefully actually laughing along and not masking to cover the pain of being laughed at. But you get what I mean, I hope. You know, and as I say, I've been a part of, like, perpetuating cringe culture as much as anyone else on the internet. And I'm over it, you know? I have these moments every now and again where I'm like, shit, I think I've matured. Like when I first stopped like being like, pop music sucks. If you listen to Katy Perry, don't talk to me. You have to listen to the Ramones and the Beatles and David Bowie because that's real music. I'm over it. Listen to the music that makes you fucking happy and I'll have a listen to it too. And if it's a bop, it's a bop. And if it's not, good for you. You know, there's lots of little things that like that I've gotten over as I've gotten older. And my big one at the minute is cringe. I'm just so over it. I'm just, you know, on the whole, I'm just over not being kind to people and not making people feel good. I'm very much, if it's not going to actively make someone feel better, there's no need to say it, you know? There's no need to do the thing, say the thing, whatever it is. It doesn't need to happen if it's not going to make someone feel better than they did before. And I'm very much going the same way with cringe culture. I thought people sort of deserved to know when they're being cringy. And I don't even mean that in a shitty way. I mean, like, there were lots of times that I think I'd have appreciated someone leaning over and being like, Dana, you're being a bit cringe. Rather than sorry, I became Jonathan Ross. Rather than like just leaving me to do the cringy thing. And I think for a while I almost felt like everyone that's ever done anything the slightest bit cringy needs to know that thing was cringe, because that's how we learn. You've got to know that it was cringe to know not to do it again so you can stop being cringy. So I felt like it was almost my like moral responsibility to let people know if I found them cringy. And it's just so incredibly unnecessary, you know? And I don't know if it's that like all of the effort that I put into being a better person's finally paying off. I don't know if it's just that I've gotten a bit older. I don't know if it's just that my energy levels are so low that there's lots of things that I used to put effort into that I just don't have the energy to bring myself to give a fuck about anymore. But I just, like, some of the people that I've met recently are people that I know, like me 5 years ago would have been like, I'm not being friends with them, they're cringe, they're fucking cringy. And now, like, that thought doesn't arrive at all because I'm like, yeah, they're passionate. they're passionate about this thing they like, or they're enjoying something, or they're just generally like, let's face it, most of the time when we find someone cringe, it's when they're having a good fucking time. And I'm just way past the point in my life of making someone feel bad for having a good time, you know? If it's a bit cringe, then it's a bit cringe. As long as you're fucking having fun, I'm gonna cringe with you. I'll be the cringiest shit around if it's gonna make me feel good. If I'm having fun being cringe, go for it. And like, I've had moments where I'm sat there and I'm like, oh God, this is cringe. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm enjoying it. I don't care. I don't care if it's cringe because I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. And I'm going to carry on being my cringe little self if that means that I feel good, you know? And it's kind of a struggle. I won't lie, it is a struggle. It's not kind of a struggle at all. It's literally a struggle because I'm like almost fighting myself, I guess. It's a bit dramatic, but you know, I'm sort of like having internal arguments being like, no, but it's cringe. Yeah, but it's fun. No, but it's cringe. Yeah, but it's fun. So why does it matter? Because being cringy is bad. That was the most unhinged I've ever come across, I think. Full Gollum moment. But you get what I mean, I hope. And I've said all I can say, I'm sure. I really don't think I've got anything left to say. If I do, I'll do the shitty little videos on my laptop that I sometimes put in when I'm editing. You might have seen some of them, I don't know. I might have actually managed to say everything I wanted to, which means that now I get to shut up. I'm gonna go. I'm leaving. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, day, evening, afternoon, week, month, year, and I'll see you again in a few days.